everybody. This is Erin, and you are listening to Stop Talking About Fat Loss. I'm here again with my team, Sarah and Chris, and we are talking today about the right time fallacy.
Yeah, no right time. Hi, I'm Sarah.
Skipping introductions this time.
You know who we are.
By now, you guys know.
I said your names.
Yeah. Oh no, but we wanted to say hi. I was like ready to jump.
No, skipped right okay. Over.
I'm sorry. Let's do that again. I'm here with my team, Sarah and Chris.
You don't need
Hi,
to.
guys.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't want to take that away from you guys. I apologize. I didn't know. I will never do that again.
It's totally going to happen again.
It's going to happen. It'll happen again. I wanted to jump right into the topic because we were already kind of talking about it and I got excited. So I think that's where we're at. But the topic of today is the right time fallacy for starting some sort of healthy lifestyle change and why that essentially is bullshit. I think that diet culture has led us to believe that we have to overhaul our entire lives to become healthy or fit or lose body fat, gain muscle, all the things that people want to do, which we know to be so far from the truth. We can accomplish a lot without overhauling every single thing that we do. If we want to jump into it, Sarah, you had brought up the concept of needing to be at a certain level. I kind of want to jump in there first, and then we can address the other issues that arise when it comes to trying to figure out the right time to start a new plan and what you can actually do instead if you have goals so that you can start working on your plan despite what's going on in your life. But let's start with that. I don't hear it as much anymore. We were saying this before we started recording. But I used to, in the beginning of my journey starting the business, was I want to join you for coaching, but I feel like I need to get into the gym myself first, or I need to start eating better first, or I need to lose 10 pounds first, or whatever the case may be. Why do you think that is a notion that people come up with, or is it like insecurity? What is that?
I encounter it a lot more, I think, still to this day, because I'm still kind of active at an actual studio and at a gym. So when people come to me, they're like, oh yeah, I really want to come check out your cycle bar class, but there's always this retainer or hesitancy where they're like, but I kind of want to do something else first. They feel like they have to achieve all of the other in between layers of fitness before they get to my level, which obviously we have to learn those things, but we we stop ourselves from starting because that jump seems impossible. And there was also a concept that was introduced to me by, I believe, we got it at Coaching Con at some point. So we went to this coaching conference, and it was this onion of why people don't start. And to protect ourselves from starting something that we might not achieve at, we kind of put layers around ourselves to protect this idea of, if I don't care about it too much, or if I put all of these obstacles in my way, then I can blame that thing and not myself for not achieving my goal. So to me, that's just one layer of the onion to protect the idea that I might not achieve this thing, which I think is put on us from all of these other methods of weight loss within the space. They're made to keep you stuck. And so they have kind of ingrained that as a personality trait. I fail at trying to get fit, so I'm going to protect myself from trying something new. And it's really not their fault that they weren't successful. Those things weren't made for them. So really, we just want you to start. And I don't expect you to be 100% fit muscle mommy in 0.2 seconds. We have to learn how to be that person. And that's really what the whole fitness journey is about. It's not about I think I say it literally every podcast. It's not just about burning calories, eating a certain amount of food or whatever. It's a lot to do with your like personal reality and improving on that. And there is no starting level. There is no like you have to take X amount of classes before you can start the course. You just start getting better.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, what is your experience there? Do you feel like it's a insecurity thing, or is it like Sarah suggested, maybe it's a means of skirting the activity to a different time, but not saying like I'm not ready to start yet? What is the mental headspace that waiting to start until some sort of factor happens? What do you think that is?
There's kind of like two situations I've found when I was working in person with people. Online's a little bit different, but one has to do with identity, and the other one has to do with because I worked with so many people who are 40 plus of starting something new. And when you're new at something, you're not good at it.
Yeah.
So we would work with a lot of people who are high up in the corporate ladder, in like we have a lot of biotech around us. So Pfizer is like right down the road from me. They're like one of their
Okay.
headquarters. So we would get people who are senior project managers who were really high up in the corporate ladder. And then they are managing all these people. And all of a sudden they come in and the 20-year-olds that they're usually, they're managing are now kicking their butt in the fitness class. And they don't like to see that because they're usually top dog. They've worked their butt off to get up. And now they're at the bottom of the rung. But they haven't worked out in how long versus this person's right out of college. She was a
Right.
D2 athlete coming right into the gym. Yeah, she's going to be very, very fit. So that was one thing that we would see people, especially men, but we would see it with women too, where they would get very defensive with that. But men seeing women like way more fit, God, there some very passive aggressive comments that you had to smash out right away. The other thing is identity. So I had to check in with someone who, again, similar situation here. She was like a senior project manager at a pharma company and works 10, 12-hour days, manages a massive team. And on her check-ins, like, why, like, it was give details. And like, I didn't do anything this week because I'm lazy. Like, you are not lazy. But if you tell yourself you're lazy, like what does a lazy person do? They lay around on the couch. Like you have an image, like in sweats on the couch, eating a bag of chips, watching Netflix. Like that kind of like sums up like everyone's sort of image of lazy. So if you say you're lazy, a lazy person doesn't go to the gym. They don't track their macros. They're not making home cooked meals. They're ordering DoorDash while eating a bag of chips, rewatching Friends for the 13th time. So I told her, like, you're not allowed to say that because the language we use is very, very important. We don't want to say, hey, like, I'm a lazy person. Like, no, we need to change that mindset to, I'm not a fit person yet, but I want to become this. So I need to watch the language. Like, I'm not lazy. I work my ass off at my company and I'm tired at the end of the day. Is it realistic that you're going to work out 6 days a week plus track all your nutrition when you're new at that stuff? Like it's not. You're not lazy. But if you tell yourself you are, it's one way that a lot of people fall off track because you start to believe that. And then our brain also fights against that old identity because you probably had it for 10, 20, 30 plus years of I'm not a fit person.
Yeah.
So you fit people do this, I'm this, I don't do that. And when you start doing those things, your brain will like try to protect itself, even though like you're trying to improve your health. The brain doesn't care. It's like, oh, this is new, this is scary, back to comfort zone. Like so we have to be aware of when that's happening. And sometimes the best way to break through that is not going all in with 6 days a week of doing cycle bar. Maybe it's just going and trying one of Sarah's classes out. Like do it once, just try it out. Or try it, like maybe it's try a bike at the gym you're already going to, see if you kind of like it, and then go do a class. If you're like, I'm nervous about jumping into a class, which I get. I'm an introvert. I get it. But also like realize some of that stuff's total bullshit that you're telling yourself.
Well, that's a very specific example. Like so some of those crazy party like classes, I totally get it. People are like,
Yes.
please do not make me go there. That is not my personality. That's not my workout type. And I totally get that. But the fallacy in it is that just because you don't currently have the skill, just because it's not happening right now, does not mean it can never happen. I think everybody puts it in their head that just because they're not doing it means it's never gonna, like, they're never gonna get there. I can never do what you do. I hear that all the time. And I'm like, the version that I was when I first started couldn't do what I do now either. I had to learn it, which is like, it's such a crazy thing to me. Like, to me, learning macros, learning how to just move my body more and take care of myself, learn how to manage my anxiety, my sleep, all those things, all the stuff that we do within our programs. Like, I had to learn all of that. And so there is no perfect time to start other than really now. I think everybody, like a commonality amongst all coaches within the space and people who have kind of achieved their overall goals with health and wellness, they wish they had started sooner and they wish they had not gotten in their way for so long. But I get it. It's like, it's really, really scary. And I think a lot of us are really, really disconnected from the fear that we harbor from not being able to do it, from feeling so disconnected from that ideal future life that like we scare ourselves into not taking the opportunities.
When it comes to making those changes, like I could never do what you do. I couldn't do algebra when I was in kindergarten. Like
Yeah.
No.
you start with math,
Right.
like basic addition and subtraction. Then you move up to like multiplication and division, and then you build up levels. So same thing with fitness and nutrition. Like there's levels to it. You just start
Yeah.
someplace, but the fallacy is I can't do that, so I'm not going to start at all. Like I can't do calculus, so I'm not even going to start with addition. Like that sounds
Yeah.
silly.
I mean,
It
I
was
still can't
very
do
silly.
calculus, so
I stopped at pre-calc and statistics.
it's interesting to have that mindset, and I don't know why this happens in pretty much solely our own body compositions, because we don't do it with our family members or our kids or anybody else. Like if they wanted to achieve something, we would believe that they could, but for some reason within ourselves we will say things like I can never do what you do. But if you say that to me, like you could at the same level that you're at, where if I was at the same level, it's taken me 15 years to get to where I am now. And
Yeah.
now I also do this for a living, so yeah, I do have more time on my docket to get in workouts and like all the things that I need to do. But I came from a place where I was working a full-time job too and fitting them all in, and like that is the purpose of just starting and doing it imperfectly and getting to a place where like the small things feel easy, and then stepping it up. What we tend to go to, and this is, it doesn't make sense to me because it only happens with our own bodies. We wouldn't do this to anybody else, but it's this all or nothing mentality or this all or nothing thought process. And it's like, I can only be like this aggressively healthy person, and the three of us sitting here, we are not aggressively healthy people. Do we lean further into wellness practices than Gen Pop? Yeah, we do, but we don't, it's, we drink alcohol and we eat tacos and we miss workouts, and like, so we're not living an extreme lifestyle. We just have built all of these foundations into our schedule so that we have more than a lot of people do when they're starting. But that just comes with time. That it doesn't really have anything to do with the level that you're at. It just, the time that you're allotted, and we've talked about this on podcasts before. It's like you feel like you have no time, but when you start slowly adding things in, the time starts to open up because you're finding the process to be a little bit more doable. So eating a little bit better, or cooking at home one more day a week instead of going out, or going on an extra walk, those kinds of things are the ways to get started. You don't have to start at the level of somebody who instructs spin classes and teaches people macros, because that person has been doing it for years and you haven't. And like, I don't know why we decided that we have to be at that same level, or why somebody at that level would be judgmental of
Yeah.
a beginner, because all of us were beginners in some like sense of the word at all of this at one point. That is our job, is actually to accommodate the beginners and help you understand that this lifestyle is slow moving but also fast moving. As soon as you start to embrace the fact that it's not all or nothing, you can have your tacos and your margarita, and then the rest of the week, you cook meals at home. That's what that looks like. It doesn't look like eating chicken breasts and broccoli every single day and only going to the gym and like not doing anything else ever. Some people might live that lifestyle, but that, I know for a fact, it's not the lifestyle that the three of us are living. And we're all relatively comfortable and happy with our body compositions, how our health works. Like, all of that stuff is good, but we also have flexibility, and that's where people need to find themselves, is what level of flexibility in your lifestyle do you want, and how can you start to input healthy things into that flexibility to where they like are symbiotic and like mesh well together.
Oh,
Well, I think
absolutely.
the current influencer culture online of the shirtless people going through the grocery stores is not helping, because
What is that?
they go in and people are trying to make these changes. They're trying to eat healthier, and then they see those videos and they're like, well, why the fuck would I even try? Like, apparently
Yeah.
I tried to eat kale and kale's bullshit now, and I tried to do this and apparently I'm not supposed to eat this now and this, and so people get fed up. They're like, why even bother?
Oh,
As which
God.
I've seen some people do. Whereas what you said, Erin, like, you can start, like, that's not reality. That you don't need to get to that level. Like, we don't need to be the Ben Greenfields of the world trying to biohack and live in like whatever he does. I don't even
Yeah.
understand what he does some days, but
No.
you don't need to be at that level. You just need to start someplace small, which I said off camera. Like, if you have zero time, like, you're still eating 2 or 3 times a day. You
Yeah.
can just
Yeah.
start by changing your breakfast, lunch, and dinner and your snacks. Like, you don't need to go and work out 6 days a week and be a homesteader and prep your own kombucha at home. Like, you can just, maybe you don't have time to meal prep, so you get the chicken. Like, Costco has the turkey breast, the whole thing, like the roasted turkey breast. We've gotten that a couple times. You have that. There's your
Awesome.
meal prep. Done. Protein. Done. You get some frozen bags of veggies. Done. Instant rice. Okay. There's some meals. Done with zero prep time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Well, and
most
I
people
think,
don't want to live those extreme lifestyles anyway. Like, they don't want to.
No,
So you see
not
it
fun.
online, and the homesteading people and the extreme morning routine people, and that isn't, you can do that if you want to, but that's not really the direct path to the body composition that you want. Like, you can eat in a caloric deficit, build lean muscle mass throughout the year without doing any cold plunges, and still have abs and muscles and whatever. Like, you don't have to do those internet things unless you want to. But that, I think you're right, it's that Instagram mindset. And I saw that video of the guy in the shorts and like no shirt at the grocery store, and all I wanted to do was punch him. Like, how annoying. First, like, stop videoing at the grocery store. All of you influencers, stop it. It's really dumb.
it's so
um
annoying.
it's getting in people's way. Like, I don't want to be videoed in the grocery store. I'm there to like get my shit, get in, get out, get on the way. Like, if you want to go home and post a grocery haul, cool, whatever, but like, stop listening to these people because they're ridiculous.
All accurate. Well, like, and again, like, to touch on like what Chris said, like, they're living a life that you are never going to lead. Like, a lot of the people that you see in the grocery store that are super fit, they spend 3-4 hours of time in the gym because they don't do anything else. It is their job to film themselves working out. It is their job to just do that all day long and post it on the internet. You don't have a job like that. You have 3 kids at home and a spouse and a career. Like, that's not going to happen for you. And it's not that you can never have the body composition that they have, but your life isn't going to look the way theirs looks. And I think that's another kind of layer that people put on top of, oh, I can't start right now because I don't have the time. And that's kind of, that's a fallacy in and of itself, because what I needed to learn on my fitness journey, and arguably, and I'll let Chris and Erin kind of touch on their own journeys, but like I needed to make my schedule, the way that I had it laid out, more efficient. Like the way that I was living was pure survival mode. And even though it looked like a routine because I was constantly treating myself poorly every day, it was not serving me. Like it just wasn't like, I in my head I thought that I was doing something cool. I was like intermittent fasting. It was fake intermittent fasting. I just didn't eat until noon. Because all I drink, like I just had caffeine from the time I woke up until noon and then ate junk food all day long. But then if I went to the gym twice a day, I thought that like it negated it. And so like if you told me like, oh, you need to work out, like if someone gave me vague advice from the internet and it was like, you are just not doing it right, you got to work out more and eat less, like that wasn't ever going to help me. Ever. I didn't have more time to work out. I was already working out twice a day. What do you mean work out more? Like, I'm not eating until halfway through my day. What do you mean eat less? And it was like, so I had to go in and actually like change the pieces. And so it's not that we're trying to make you take time like out of your schedule as it is to fit more fitness in. We want to change your routine so that it's healthier for you, so that you are able to start working on your fitness. There's not like, I think a lot of people come to us, they're like, I just wish I had, 48 hours in one day. And I'm like, I don't think you need that. I just think you need to learn how to make yourself more efficient and have a routine that's healthier for you.
Yeah.
So with those influencer people, like with their lifestyles, most of those people are, you meet them in real life, they're weird as fuck. Like they are walking red flags. Like I've met a handful like that, not some of the popular ones, but people like that, and they're weird, and they're usually single. A lot of them, I know in the bodybuilding world, there's a lot of older single people and divorced people. Like they are walking red flags. So do you want to try to live your lifestyle the way someone who's super weird and you're trying to also fit in, like being with your friends and your family and going out, like the lifestyles don't mesh because their lifestyle is so extreme that they're literally just like an outcast from society, which
and it's not healthy either. Like they might appear beautiful, like they might have really nice abs and like look super fit, whatever, and they take really nice photographs for Instagram, but it's not healthy to not, like, if you live a well-rounded life, there's time for community and eating local food and drinking local wine and those kinds of things. Like if you watch any of like the Blue Zone documentaries, that is what the people living the longest are enjoying life, but also eating high quality food and moving their body in some capacity. And that's what people need. They don't need elaborate morning routines or bedtime routines or like being in the gym for 3 or 4 hours. Like none of that. That is just fluff. It's not necessary. And most people don't even want that level of body composition. They might think it looks cool, but like what we really want is like, and I like to coin it, lived in fit. We want to look like we work out, but it's not, we don't need to be like shredded and jacked all the time for that to appear like we work out and to feel good in our clothes most of the time, because normal humans are not at the grocery store with their shirts off, like that, filming things for Instagram. Like that might be what, like that person needs to be super shredded all the time so he could be weirdly in the produce aisle with his shirt off. But the rest of us are not interested in doing that. So like getting started when you want to start is the time. That is the time, is immediately, as soon as you feel uncomfortable. And there's a lot that can be done with small things that I think people overlook, like walking, like just changing up and adding more protein, having a little bit more fiber, eating more at home, those kinds of things. I post about this stuff a lot, and I like, this is how I know probably like never be a very good influencer, because I'm not using the trigger words, the buzzwords like hormones, like, all of the cortisol. Like, yes, those things come into play, but you don't need to overthink them. You just need to start actively like engaging in some sort of healthier behaviors. And then once that feels like part of your life, then you just add one more thing in. It's not you don't have to do an entirely different routine. And yeah, you don't have time for that. Like, I don't even have time to do a gym routine 6 days a week and then do like some sort of cardio and yoga and get up in the morning and get in my cold plunge and like rise with the sun. What, like, I want to lay in bed and write my emails and drink coffee in the morning. That is the routine that I have. So like, and I feel pretty good most of the time, and I maintain my weight relatively easily at this point. So like, that is what I wanted. I like, yes, would it be cooler to be a little bit less, like have a little bit less body fat? Sure. But like, I also want to be able to live. And I think that's what people need to start to decide. Like, you can live in a healthier environment and also live a life similar to how you're currently living and enjoy both of those and feel comfortable and confident in your body without sacrificing everything you actually like doing.
Oh yeah. And I think another like along this same vein, do you ever encounter a lot of people who are like, I'm really, really interested in coaching, but I'm about to go to Peru for 2 weeks. And then after that, I have like this, a couple weddings to go to. But then after all of those things, I'm so ready for coaching. And I'm like, are you not going to live a life? Like throughout those things, like cool
Yeah.
events, all that stuff. Like, I think that's it. It's not this idea that there is this baseline version of you and then the fit version, and you can only be the fit version of you if nothing else is happening in your regular life. That's not the way it works. We want to make your regular life better. And that's what it is. It's not turning you into a new person. It's just growing within your own life to make it serve you. You want to feel a little bit better in your clothes. There are ways to do that is not sacrificing all your time for the gym. And it can happen while you go on vacation, while you go to that anniversary party. It can happen during. We can incorporate those things within it. You don't have, like, since when is there ever going to be a clean slate of, I don't have anything to do and now I can start working on myself? Literally never. Never is that going to happen.
Well, the people that I've had that did that, where their schedule's perfect, they build all their habits on a house of cards, because all their fitness, all their nutrition, everything is built on the most optimal schedule, the least stressful schedule they've ever had.
Yep.
So then as soon as life throws a little curveball, which it likes to do, work gets busy, like a teacher, and they start over the summer. Well, now they go back to school and they're like, oh no. Or someone else where it's just like, hey, like now life is super crazy busy again. They're like, well, they just stop because everything was built on this house of cards that crumbles with the slightest inconvenience. Versus if you just start with something, you build habits that work when you're busy. And then when life actually like opens up a little bit, all you do is dial up to the next level. You don't like start then. You just, okay, now I can actually like get to the gym 4 days a week instead of 2 days a week. Great. And then I'll cut back to my 2 days a week. You built that habit in. Like, hey, I was doing 2 days a week in the past when this was crazy. I just fall back. So you just start. You don't wait for the perfect time.
Well, the inquiry is a dopamine hit. I get that constantly. I had one in February. I reached out to her and she's like, well, I actually don't want to start until like August. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, that is 7 months from now. You are inquiring because you want to feel like you're doing something for your health. And I'm going to this is going to be a little bit of tough love here, but like every time you ask for something from, somebody you see online, a guide, a workout plan, maybe you pay for it, maybe you don't, or you inquire about coaching or a gym or whatever, and you don't have any intention of starting for at least, a good chunk of time. I'm not talking about a couple weeks. Like if you have a trip coming up next week and you're like, I want to start after that, totally, that makes sense to me. But if you are inquiring in February and you don't want to start until August, like that, you actually don't want to do it. And that's okay. But you can't be the brain's like, well, I reached out and talked to her about it. So like I did the first step. You didn't do shit. You did nothing. You put yourself in, like, you took my time by like asking about like getting on a phone call and then told me you weren't going to start for 7 months. Like we're in this process now and you can start now. Like getting a little bit of information is one thing, like how much does it cost, how long, whatever. That's different than like having no intention of starting from like 7 months from when you make the first inquiry.
There was a research done, I believe it was research done, that found that if you announce a goal, like you post onto social media, like I'm doing this 30-day weight loss thing or a 75 hard, or you tell like a big group of friends, or you submit an inquiry like you're applying for coaching, the dopamine is the equivalent of you actually reaching the goal. Because like on social media, you're going to get all the likes and comments like, yes, girl, you can do it. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
that dopamine just stops. And now you actually have hard work to do. And the brain's like, well,
That's hard.
I got praise. This is hard. I already got the praise. So why even bother? Like I can just get the same dopamine hit
Yeah. I
again, just
started.
like post. I'm just going to start, because you never see the follow up. But if you just say, maybe tell a few people about it, actually do the thing, and then actually get the result, and then you actually get that dopamine hit, and like, okay, great. The dopamine's actually deserved at that point.
Yeah, it's really hard. I especially even if you finish, like if you post I'm going to do 75 hard and you finish, like eventually people get tired of that. Like they're not paying as much attention to that anymore. So that's where this becomes even more challenging, because at some point you have to just do it for you and not for social media likes, and not for like, yes girl, you got this, because that people are over it at that point. Like you get 30 days in and post 30 75 hard, and I've done 75 hard, so I've been this person. I posted every single day, but people like really engaged in the beginning, and then after, it's because they start to reflect on their own lack of doing shit, and it like falls to the back of their mind. Like they want to cheer you on, and they'd also like actually would rather probably cheer you on like quitting 75 hard a bunch of times and restarting it. Like that, you're going to get more attention from that than you are from actually completing it. So you have to also understand that part of the process, unless you hire somebody that's going to help navigate that process with you, like a coach is going to like cheer you on the entire time or talk you off your ledge or whatever. Like, but the rest of the world is just like, meh, she's done this for 45 days, I'm bored.
Well, absolutely. And like you can rewind onto both in mine and Erin's social media and look at all of the different times that we did Whole 30. And like we supported each other through that. And that felt like cool. Like I remember after my first Whole 30, Erin bought me flowers because I was so sad. Like I just like took away all of my favorite foods for a whole 30 days. And she was like, you did it. And but here's the thing is like, we don't know if any of that is based in health. Or not. And so we're just like celebrating an effort that's not really based in anything. And what I think is interesting is that like when I start to like really post about the process and I'm like, I'm actually happier in my body and like really like my anxiety is managed. I have achieved that lived and fit look that, you know, that we have been looking for. And now when I talk about the process to actually get it, which is actually very boring, the amount of water that I drink, the amount of protein that I eat, and like what I do, no one is turned on. 13 likes. Like nothing. And then, but then when I'm like, I'm doing this really extreme, crazy thing, 1,000, a million, bajillion likes.
Yeah.
And I had to stop putting stock in that because the thing that helps me feel healthiest in my body and that like has me thriving, I am happy with that. It only gets 13 likes on the internet, but I'm thriving here in my life, in my space. And that's what like everybody needs to understand, that is there is no right time, because if it looks like the right time to somebody else, it's hidden under several filters of social media and all of that stuff. Like you got to do what's right for you and like work with your reality, your life, your time frame, your ideal level of fitness, and have somebody like a coach who knows how to give that to you and teach that to you.
Yeah. The summer is coming, and that's like the big time for it's twice a year that the time fallacy like amps up, and it's summer. And what's the other one? I know you guys know what it is.
Holidays.
Yeah.
Holidays.
Ding ding ding.
Right after summer.
Yeah. it usually right after Halloween and right before the summer months, we just decide that we can't start around then. And so I think this is a really good time for this to come out, because hopefully you'll start to kind of understand that you can accomplish your goals throughout these seasons where you're perceived to be busier or have more trips going on or whatever, or the kids are off school, because it doesn't have to look like a complete overhaul. We can show you how to go to Disney and stay on track while still having Dole Whip or, the Mickey Mouse pretzels or whatever, whatever it is that you want. Those things, they're both possible. And I think that's where people get mixed up, is you think if you start a program, especially, if you start a bad program, then yeah, they're going to tell you can't do any of that stuff. But if you are working on your health and then in turn getting your body to respond by losing fat or gaining muscle or whatever, all of those things can be accomplished while simultaneously doing the fun stuff. You could go to Disney and not track for the 2 or 3 days that you're there, or you could go to Disney and like start the day off with a bunch of protein and then have a fun lunch and then like pack your dinner, or go out to dinner and get like a steak and a potato and some veggies. Like there are options, and there, like, that's why I think understanding that and going through the process, because if I have a client who's going out of town, especially if it's somebody who doesn't travel that often, I'll be like, how do you want to handle this? And I know Sarah does the same thing, and I assume Chris does the same thing. We haven't talked about this, but it's like, how do you want to approach it? How do you want to feel when you come back? Are you cool with just like living your best life and then we'll just get back on track when you get home? Or do you want to like have some capacity of like control over movement and workouts or whatever you like? Or do you want to stay completely on track almost the entire time? Though, like, there are 3 options, and I've had clients who have chosen any one of those 3 options. There's actually, there's a plethora of options, but that kind of gives you an idea of what that would look like. But like, or if you're going on an elaborate like European trip and you want to just indulge, then you indulge and you come back and we get rid of inflammation and we talk about whether or not you want to do fat loss or whatever. But like, those are the things that you can do at the same time. And most of the time, what we find is if you eat enough protein when you're on vacation, you're not going to overindulge in a capacity that's going to be detrimental for you. And you can still have alcohol, you can still have fun foods and come back relatively unscathed. And it's okay to like to maintain. I think that's another thing that people forget. It's like, when you're paying attention to your health, it doesn't always have to be about fat loss. It can be about maintaining. We're going to Disney for a week. I want to come back the same exact weight as I left. Okay, let's talk about how to do that. And then we can continue your fat loss when you get back. Like, that's how that works. And then you don't take a huge step backwards by like being a complete asshole while you're there and eating whatever you want. And that, like, at Disney, I'm using Disney as an example, which it's kind of a poor one because you're walking significantly when you're at Disney.
Yeah. I was like, Disney's actually really easy. I did a video on it like very early in my coaching career. I was like, here's how to do Disney and be fit. Just go to Disney. Like, it's very easy.
Yeah.
But
you can't like, yeah. Or if you prioritize walking on vacation and protein, those 2 things, you can pretty much do whatever the hell else you want and come back. Like, you can be a little bit up because plane travel does cause inflammation, but usually within 3-4 days, like, we're back to baseline again. And then we get back started on fat loss or whatever the case may be. But most people think it has to be extreme in both capacities. Like, I'm going to eat like an asshole and then I'm going to come back and only eat chicken. And that's where we get messed up.
Oh, absolutely.
Where I live, we're maybe 2 hours from the beach. So, or the shore if you're from Jersey. So, God forbid you call it a beach there. So, I would see people when I was working in person, they would cancel their gym memberships because they would leave all summer from Thursday through Sunday. Like, they would go down. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they were home working. So it's like, wait, you leave Thursday evening. So Thursday morning you could come. You leave Thursday evening, you go to the shore or the beach, and then you come back Sunday night. And you do that 3 times a month. Okay, well, what are you doing down there? One, we can walk the boardwalk. They all have like mile long boardwalks. You can get some workouts in, maybe in your, a lot of people have condos around here. So in your condo or in the hotel, or the days that you're home, just work. Well, why are you canceling your gym membership? Like, just work out when you're here the 2 or 3 days and then go to the beach. It's
I
wild. Like,
used to,
well, traveling, so I'm just going to stop everything. And then they, to your point,
yeah.
they would restart in the fall, because fall I'm going to have so much more time. But you have like 2 months. Like, once kids go back to school, if you're a parent, like September, October 31st, we have a holiday. So all of a sudden it's like you got 2 months. You don't have all this time in the fall.
No,
No.
because people aren't gonna. The amount of when I used to coach in person, I would every May, June it would drop, and every November after Thanksgiving it would drop again. And it's what's crazy is just like you said, if you understood how to maintain, you can enjoy all that time and then get back to fat loss. And anytime I talk to somebody about fat loss phases, we have kind of like very set strategic timelines with that the year in mind, with the times that people are going to want some more flexibility. And you if you learn this, and you can take this right now and like run with it, because this will save you so much time and effort. If you want to lose body fat, you start in January after the holidays for 8 to 12 weeks, go into a deficit. Then when you get to the spring or summer, maybe you take a break for spring break and go back into a deficit depending on how much weight you have to lose until the summer months. Go to maintenance, maintain that shit until the fall, and then August, September, go into another deficit again if you want to, and then maintain that shit through the holidays. And then like you start the new year at the lower weight that you were at with, and you have spent time building muscle in your maintenance phases as well, so you have a better body composition. And then you can reassess. You don't start January feeling like extremely gross from like just completely like abandoning your gym membership and everything that you know about like eating protein, fiber, whatever, because you just traded it for Christmas cookies and wine. Like you don't have to do it that way. It's if you have some sort of like process and some sort of an idea of how this works and like how you can fit it into your schedule, you're going to like it a lot more, and you're going to understand it a lot more, and you're also not going to keep that yo-yo thing occurring every single year, where you in January you're like, I'm going to do it this year, I'm losing all the weight, and you have an initial like major inflammatory drop because we ate a bunch of shit and drank a bunch of alcohol all the way through the holiday season, and so you're inflamed, so you drop 10 pounds quickly and then think that that's going to continue, but then you stop your gym membership as soon as you go on spring break. Like this is the cycle that like keeps you stuck. And if you just said, I'm going to start and I'm not going to stop, but I'm going to have phases at maintenance where I'm building muscle, and phases in fat loss where I'm maintaining muscle and losing body fat, and did that through every single year of your life and allowed yourself some flexibility, and some years maybe even just stay at maintenance. I did that all of last year. Like you'll find that once you get closer to the body composition you want, you don't need to do fat loss as often, and it's freeing. It's like will save you.
Oh, absolutely. And well, and it's like it just gives you control over those times in your life. Like when you know how to kind of flex in and out of, sometimes I like to liken it to a dial, where sometimes I'm able to turn it up to 10. Sometimes we're able to turn it up to something like 6 or 7 based on what your life is going to allow. I had this conversation with a client that I had over the winter, and they were a musician. So if you are a musician during the holiday times, you have no life. Zero, none, because you are playing holiday concert after holiday concert after holiday concert, and it's like it's constantly rehearsals, performances, like especially if you are as kind of elite within this space as this specific client was. And then she's like, well, she really wanted to start. She's like, well, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. I just feel like I can't do anything. I don't have time. We're right back to that kind of time fallacy. But I was like, babe, you're not going to have time this time of year. I was like, I've been a musician during the holidays. We can't really do fat loss right now because your stress level is so high. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually bring your intake up, your protein, fiber, all that stuff, help your body stay healthy in this time, so that Come January, when the stress levels come down, we know how to manipulate things downward, and we can start this process. And it's not that the process didn't start until then. It was that the intention and the goals change around the stress levels and what she was able to contribute. So that just like kind of rips the right time idea away. We just want to teach you how to navigate your life in an intentional, healthy way, no matter the stress level, no matter the time frame that you do have. We have to start working with your life, not against it. Your fit version of yourself isn't necessarily you against you. It's just yourself learning how to take care of yourself, which we have in this society. Just we're notorious for just treating ourselves like garbage. Just, and it's based in just like not really knowing. We just don't know. And I think that that is our big problem that we have in general for people needing to start. They just don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
all anyone ever hears about is like working out, and it's getting better, but for the vast majority, the Gen Pop, it's going to be working out and nutrition for fat loss. Like that's the only goal ever. So if it's not chasing that goal, why even bother? And to your point of like making this the year work for you and your lifestyle, like I like to split my year up into like the different seasons. For me, I know come fall and early winter, we have holiday season, but for me also hunting season, I'm really busy during that time. Plus I'm working. Okay. It's probably usually my workouts cut back to like 3 times a week. I might get 4 days a weekend. I might get 5 days a weekend, maybe during that time. So instead of stressing out about like the scale going up a little bit, I just use that time to build muscle. That's my muscle building phase. Holiday cookies are around, holiday treats. I'm going to
use
be
them.
busy. So I'm going to use that to build muscle. Then I'm going to look actually, because you build muscle, leaner at a higher body fat percentage. You have that illusion of being leaner. So then come January, when my time opens up, then I work on fat loss. And then come summer, I generally am prepping for hunting season in case I do draw like an elk tag or anything and have to go to 10,000 feet of elevation. I'm training my endurance. So that can actually also be a good maintenance or fat loss phase before I start the process all over again. And when you do it like that, you're like, okay, this is what I do during this time of year. This is what I do during this time of year. And this time, repeat, rinse and repeat. And it makes it very sustainable. Like you just know, okay, lights coming, like I'm getting a little sick of this phase. Oh wait, light at the end of the tunnel. I'm switching gears in 3 weeks. We're going to go into a fat loss phase because now my pants are a little tight come Christmas. Like, okay, well, we're almost done. Then we're going to start a fat loss phase. Okay, I'm feeling a little skinny. I feel like I've lost some muscle. Okay, well, we're starting to do a muscle building phase.
Pull it back up. I
Yep.
think that's it's so great to just be able to see your year like that. And you guys, this works best with, those of you who are trying to balance a lot of kids' schedules too. If you know that your kid has travel sports, so they do travel football in the fall and they do travel baseball in the spring. And so you have the most time to be able to dedicate the most time to your fitness kind of in the spring, and all that stuff in the spring, summer. And so then we can kind of cater your fitness to that. We can plan for what you're going to eat when you're constantly driving to tournaments every weekend. Like we want to teach you how to work with that, not against it. Like this is just because your kids have a busier schedule does not mean you need to stop taking care of yourself. It's just that it looks a little bit different. But like the year, and I think a lot of people are really anchored by their kids' schedules based on when they go to school, whatever. The level of fitness can work towards that too. Like we're talking very personal goals here, but like obviously you guys have at least I think we're talking to a lot of people who generally have other people's schedules to manage, and that contributes to your ability to put time down for your health and wellness. And so we'll take that into consideration too, or at least any good one-on-one coach will. And that's what you're not getting from just blanket macro calculators or just your 5 times a week, here's your Instagram workout. No one tells you how to fit that in when you're driving, halfway across the state every other weekend for your kids' travel sports. Like that's what we want to teach you.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because I brought up travel in the capacity of like pleasure travel, but there's a lot of people that travel for work or for kids sports and assume that they can't do anything based on that too. And that of course is going to look a little differently. If you're somebody who travels every weekend to take your kids to a club sport, yeah, you're going to have to learn how to navigate your nutrition while you're on the road or while you're in hotels or Airbnbs or whatever. You cannot use that as an opportunity to like treat it like a vacation every single weekend. Like you, but we have to figure out your life and how that will work for you, whether that's bringing food. Like I personally like to rent Airbnbs for that reason, because I can get groceries delivered or I can bring food with me depending on the means of travel. But those are the kinds of things that we can help assess for each individual lifestyle. Like we are not going to ask you to be on a diet when you go to Disney or Paris or San Diego or Hawaii, whatever, but we are probably going to ask you to maintain some level of nutritional compliance if you're out of town every single weekend for your kids sports. And so those are the things that you have to start to look at. Like, yes, you can do it anytime and you should, because the kids sports are probably never going to stop until they graduate high school. But then of course, if they're into it and they go to in college sports, and like, are you traveling to wherever they're in college? Like that, it's something that's a variable that's never going to stop for you or won't stop for a long time. So are you going to wait 6 years until your kid is 18 or 19 to get yourself healthy? I don't think you should. It's not like, especially if you have a sports minded child, that's not really putting them in a position to be successful later in their life. They want to see you being healthy. And of course, for them right now, like weight maintenance is not an issue, but it might be. And so when they see your level of activity and your level of like some sort of nutritional compliance to take care of your body while you're taking them to their sports games or their like team meets or whatever, that like that's also a benefit to them to be able to like understand how to navigate that. You don't have to go eat out every single time, every single weekend that you have sports games or whatever. And I think that's really a good thing for kids to understand too, because like I know for me that was a really hard adjustment to make. Anytime I went out of town, I thought it was like vacation. And I started traveling a lot more for work when I joined the wellness industry, because I went to conferences and stuff, and was like, you cannot go once a month to a conference or a training or whatever and like treat it like an all-out vacation. That's not going to work. So those are the kinds of things that like need to be addressed, and you need to understand that like you need to start now, and you need to understand how to navigate those specific variables for your exact situation. And no, keto is probably not going to do it, or Optavia, or these kinds of things that you like. You need some level of flexibility, but you can achieve that by understanding your schedule and how to fit in healthy habits while you're still traveling every weekend or whatever the case may be.
Oh, and it's such great. I think I wish this forever. I mean, I my parents did a great job with the world that they had, but like I really wish that someone had taught me growing up the proper way to fuel my body. A healthier way of looking at myself and my fitness. I think that if I had started to learn what I like got in my late 20s when I was as a teenager, I would be a totally different person. And I think I probably would have been a lot better off. Again, I'm not a parent. I don't want to like throw parents under the bus. Like you guys are all doing the best that you can. Parenting is very, very difficult, very, very hard. But I do really appreciate the people who are now kind of starting to take a stand for their health in front of their kids, because it's teaching them healthy boundaries. It's teaching them that it's not okay to sacrifice your body or your health for the sake of others, work, school, sports, whatever it is. Whatever you do in your life should serve you and your health. And the more that you can do to teach that to your kids, I think is just really, really valuable, because honestly, the problems that we see within the general population around nutrition, around health and wellness, is because of just generations of misinformation. We just didn't know. And we've just been passing down the knowledge from generation to generation. So now I really feel like we have a power to start to take our health back and be open about it and start to teach everybody that we can do this within your own capacity, within the confines of your own own life. And let's start to just like trickle it down into the next generations. Let's start taking care of ourselves and be kind of a healthier um, just community moving forward.
Your kids are always watching. Like my daughter has
They are.
learned to.
We lost Chris. Whoops. But I mean, I learned kind of the negative, how to be negative about my body from my mom, from my parents. Again, I don't want to throw parents under the bus. We're doing the best that we can. But like, it was ingrained in me very, very early that I wasn't small enough or I wasn't whatever enough. And I saw my mom, like when we're going to go on vacation, she would put less rice on her plate. When we're gonna, go do something, my dad would drink less soda. Like your constant dieting, your constant idea of needing to get smaller, or all that stuff. We learned that from our parents. Your kids can't see you, and it's ingrained faster than you think. Like a lot of people go, "Oh, they're kids; they won't remember." They will, and they do.
Oh yeah, they do. And I don't have children, but like my nieces, it's wild the things that they recall. Like and they're little. I mean, they're a little bit older than Chris's kids, but like still little. And they remember. I tried to give Madeline. She wanted almond butter, and I couldn't find any, and so I was giving her peanut butter. And I think she was 3. She called my ass out. She was like, "Auntie, this is not almond butter." So like if they can identify the difference between 2 brown sticky substances that look almost identical, like they are watching every single action that you're doing.
Are. My oldest daughter at like 1 knew that she would like grab a fork, like steal a fork and then grab one for like plastic bowls and would like start whisking like it was her eggs in the morning. And she would just pretend. But I just put up a reel with the one recipe with her, and she has a little knife. I didn't really teach her that. She's just watching, and she grabbed the whisk and started whisking because she was watching me. I'm like, I've never given you a whisk. How do you know that she's watched? But the same thing goes with food. Like they're watching
That's the cutest.
what you're eating. Why is mommy's and daddy's food different than my food? Is that what adults eat? Are adults always, eating food I don't like? That's boring. I don't want to be an adult. Or can you show like, hey, we can have fun? Like with my daughter, we'll eat healthy most of the time, but we will go out and get ice cream. And then we'll get her the proper portion size because it's a nightmare otherwise. But we'll go out and we'll have fun treats. So they're always watching, and you want to set that example. You don't want to set the example of, hey, like we just eat unhealthy all the time. And then I say all this food's unhealthy and bad. And then I diet and there's commercials on it. Like, mom's on a health kick again. Guess we're going to eat all this gross food. Like, no, we just want to set a baseline of every meal has a protein, a carb, a veggie, and a fat. And then occasionally we have pizza nights. Occasionally we do taco nights. We have fun, and mom and dad are included in that fun. Maybe they don't eat half the pizza like the kids do. Why? Because I don't need it. Like I'm satisfied. I don't need to eat half a pizza. Or maybe mom and dad do because you crush the squat workout and like I'm starving.
Yeah. And that's okay. And I think that like learning how to balance those things was something that kids need to learn. I had to learn all of that retroactively, and it got really, really messy. And I gained 60 pounds when I moved away for college. Like that's the reality that we're working with. Like I had no idea, what was going on. And I just don't think that can't pass anymore. We're like in the age of information. Everything that we need to know is at our fingertips. And let's teach the younger generation that there is no like fit you and whatever you like. Let's just learn how to kind of mesh it all together and live an actual life worth living. And I think that's what this all boils down to, is a life worth living is a body that you can depend on, food that you like, and nourishing your life. That's really what everybody should be striving for.
Yeah, if I would have learned to eat earlier in life, like game changer. That is the one thing like that if parents talk to me and ask me about, because they'll often ask how to incorporate their kids, it's like that is it beyond anything else. Like learning how to create balanced meals, learning how to cook simple but healthy and delicious foods at home. Those are the things I didn't know how to do. I didn't learn. My mom never taught me how to cook. I would make ramen and those kinds of like, easy mac. That's what I survived on as a kid. And so same thing when I got to college, I was eating a very similar diet and I immediately started putting on weight. And I didn't know that I needed to eat protein. I had absolutely no clue. And so like starting like a kid out with understanding how to like eat for performance and strength and to build muscle. You don't have to talk to your kids about fat loss. I don't think that's
No.
productive, but like
No.
understanding how to like just create proper healthy meals is would have been such a game changer in my life. And I think like we do, like Sarah said, we're in the information age. We do have the opportunity to do that and to show the next generation like how to not be so stifled by food and diet and like just be strong. And you can slightly manipulate your body composition when you become an adult if you want to go, like those kinds of things are good lessons. But like striving constantly to be small, striving constantly to have to lose fat and not knowing how to do that at all, and looking at your parents having to give up everything before they go on a trip just to fit in their swimsuit, like none of those are healthy behaviors.
I learned
No.
about some of nutrition, but mostly cooking out of necessity of my parents' work. Now, they always did home cooked meals, but they gave my brother and I a cookbook, Rachel Ray, 30-minute meals. Like we're working from 8 to 8 at the family business, which was next door to our house.
Figure it out.
And my mom would be like, pick out 3 recipes. You guys are in charge of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, my brother and I, like as preteens. And immediate, like
that, actually.
That's
it's
cool.
a really cool experience because at first you're super nervous, but it's simple meals. Like my mom would supervise a little bit, but then they just let us take control. And then as a kid, like you're serving your family dinner and then your parents actually like it. And then they're like, oh, this is really good. So you get the sense of accomplishment, sense of pride that with that. So like do that with your kids. Let them pick out meals, let them cook meals, even if it's something we did like as teenagers don't always want to help out, but have them make the salad for the night. Like, okay, just like wash the lettuce, shred carrot, make homemade vinaigrette, like super simple, takes 5 minutes. Have them do that. Okay, I contributed to it. It helps them learn because a lot of parents will take over everything and then the kid leaves and they're like, I don't know how you don't know how to make X, Y, and Z. Like, Mom, Dad, I was never allowed in the kitchen. Like you just kicked me out. Yes, it's going to be messy. Yes, it's going to take like that. But that's why I let my daughter in. Like, why not? Like I give her a piece of celery, like learn to cut. And it's terrible and it flings everywhere.
Yeah.
But she's gotten better. Every time she gets a little bit better, I can see,
Hilarious.
okay, she's starting to get it. It's going to get better. And then she's going to like,
But
start
she's
making
comfortable.
things.
Like
Yes.
she's becoming
She's going
comfortable
to start
around
making
it,
small
which
things
is-
and then we're going to move up. So
it's huge.
let your kids be in charge of the menu with like my mom would be like, yeah, we're not making that mac and cheese. Yeah, we're not making that for dinner. Pick something else. Like there needs to be a protein and a veggie. Okay, we can make that. And some of my favorite meals to this day were still recipes out of that cookbook.
It's so fun.
Yeah, I love that. There's such an opportunity for learning for everybody, and I think that's where like this process and the process that we teach is so beneficial, because it's not just people are like, I feel selfish starting something new or investing in my health. And it's like you're actually investing in the health of everybody
In your
that it
family.
has direct contact to you.
Yes.
Like every single person, if they want it. I know that my circle has become healthier because I became healthier, even if it's in a small capacity. And I don't have kids, but if you have kids, like they're learning better recipes and they are seeing their, you go to the gym, maybe they're going to the gym with you, they're becoming more comfortable around gym culture and what that looks like all of that, your spouse, like it's huge. All of that is so beneficial for everybody, just like even if you're just like showing up in the space. And so that's where like we're coming full circle, which is good because we've been talking for a while now. But like having the right time to start does not exist. But like starting too late is going to come at a
I
massive
think
cost.
the phrase
Oh,
was
yeah.
the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is today.
Yeah,
Today.
right now.
Yep, right now. And you can start in any capacity that you want. You have to choose how to start and just go. Go take messy action.
Yeah. 30-minute walk a day. That's what I always tell people. Like, they're like, I don't know where to start. Go on a walk every single day. If you already do a 30-minute walk, go on a 45-minute walk. Like, it doesn't have to be this huge overhaul of habits. Then start to look at how much protein you're eating. Like, those two things alone for a majority of people who are not doing a lot is going to move the needle.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get to a point where you're ready for something else. And then the needle will need to be moved a little further. Like, that's how that actually works, as opposed to doing like some extreme dietary protocol and going to the gym 7 days a week and then burning yourself completely out and only doing that for, a month and not being able to do it. But you could probably fit a 30 to 45-minute walk in every single day. Most of us can. We can just get the hell off of our social media. I know, like, I probably could fit in another one if I got off my social media.
Yeah, well, part of it's your job. Well, I mean, I get it. I mean, you work with the time that you have and you adjust what you do. Like, I mean, Chris said it earlier on in the podcast. You eat, so we can fix that.
Yeah. Are you having a
We can
veggie
start
at each
working
meal?
right there.
No? Okay, add one in.
Right.
There it is. Found it.
No, that's a huge one too, is just a
Yeah.
fruit or veggie with every meal and like a two palm sizes of protein. You don't even have to track any of it. Like just add that and you will start to see and feel significant
Yep.
change pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
it.
Well, thank you for this conversation. As always, it was awesome. If you all liked it, we would absolutely appreciate it if you subscribed wherever you're listening. And if you could write us a review, we would appreciate that as well. And if you really, really like us, share on your social media channels so that we can get the word out about the podcast and get more people invested in their health and wellness.
Do it. I dare you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Bye.